been a fun ride and dream come true. If this is the direction NASCAR is headed, we will not participate after the 2020 season is over. I don't believe in kneeling during anthem nor taking people right to fly whatever flag they love. I could care less about the Confederate flag, but there are people that do, and it doesn't make them a racist. All you are doing is expletive one group to cater to another, and I ain't spend the money. We're to participate in any political BS, so everything is for sale. Marty Smith back with us. As I mentioned earlier, he's covered NASCAR intimately since the 90s. Marty, thank you again for staying here with us. Marty, what's your reaction to that statement, and do you expect to see more of this amongst the fans?
If Ray Ciccarelli, whom I had not heard of before that post, wants to pack up his ball and take it on to the house, that's his prerogative. This is the United States of America. He has that right. But if that, and quite frankly, if that is his perspective, then he can pack up his ball and take it on down the highway. For today's sporting landscape, today's entertainment landscape, today's human landscape, there's just no room for anything that makes anyone feel disparaged.
I'm going to let him say it, because he is a Southern boy at its core, if you can't tell by his twang. And he is the go-to guy for ESPN's NASCAR. And for him to say that he's never heard of that gentleman that just spoke and said something,
or makes anyone feel lesser or uncomfortable. And so NASCAR's decision, maybe it will mean Ray Ciccarelli retires from the sport. Enjoy it, man. I hope you enjoy whatever you're going to do in the future, because there's 1,000 race car drivers at the late model level and lower who would be more than happy to take that spot.
Dominique, would you like to go, or
No, I'll be happy to go. I was deferring to you because it's normally your show, but I will take it. I think it's interesting. I think I'll agree with most of what Marty says, but I'll take it a slight step further, is I don't think it's all about making people feel comfortable. I do think that's part of it, and I don't think it's about not offending certain people. I think that's part of it, but I think, as Max put yesterday, that flag was the flag of a rebellion. A flag that represented people who wanted to destroy the country that we now live in. So to me, it's mind-blowing that it still hangs around and it still exists in any level. But I do think also that to only characterize it as making people feel comfortable and making people feel welcome, like, I think that's an important thing, especially from a business standpoint. But to only characterize it as that, I think kind of misunderstands what the flag fully represents and what people who wave that flag. I can't imagine, like, I can go through the list, and I don't want to be hyperbolic, but I can go through the list of many other countries or organizations specifically, that have had attacks on American grounds. And I can't imagine for the life of me anybody feeling comfortable going to a sporting event, a NASCAR event no less, and bringing that flag up. Like, there's so many people who I think could point to different things and say this and change what it means. This flag represents X to me, so I want to wave it here. Obviously, it's America. You have the right to fly whatever flag you want to fly. However, we have to fully understand the history, and I think that some people want to hide behind saying what it means to them, when just to absolve themselves of this connection to what it actually stood for. And not only did it stand for the subjugation of black people, it stood for the destruction of this country that so many of them believe. Like, it's ironic, and it just kind of highlights the stupidity of Ray Ciccarelli when he goes through that as if he's saying, I don't want to live in this, or I don't want to work in this place. And he suggests, and I don't remember all the quotes in that terrible post, but it seemed to me like he was suggesting that this is a change to the America that he knows and America that he appreciates, and an organization that exists in that America. How in the world can you stand on the ground of wanting to wave a flag that wanted to destroy that? Go ahead, Max.
No, Marty, I love the way you've been covering this and bringing this to a mainstream audience. I do think that when it is said, no one should ever feel uncomfortable. This is like, it's a little different on a college campus, but I don't believe in safe spaces in terms of ideas. I like to feel uncomfortable with different opinions and different ideas, and that's America, and that's the kind of place in which I'd like to live. I don't think the Confederate flag simply falls under that category, although it does fall under that category. I think there's a more specific category that excludes it from using it, participating in public life in America, which is it's a flag of treason and of racism and of pro-slavery positions. Look at the seating southern states. Look what each one of them stated first paragraph about why they were fighting. And the fact that subsequent generations turned it into, and it was a willful act on the part of previous generations, turned the Confederate flag simply into a more generic...
How old y'all think he is? Just looking at him. And I'm saying this because why would he say he doesn't care for the Confederate flag, but there's people that do, and it doesn't make them racist at all? But he says that he doesn't approve of kneeling when a retired Army vet told Cap that kneeling was a sign of a respect that the Army had adopted themselves before Cap even started doing that. And Cap's initial reason for even kneeling was to bring awareness to how vets were treated. So then once he also added in with the injustices, shit really hit the fan. But that just totally gets ignored.
Kind of Southern pride thing for them is bogus. I'm not saying that dynamic doesn't exist. That's not a good enough reason to fly it. It's based on misinformation and disinformation. In other words, propaganda intentionally put out to get people to believe things that are untrue. And leftover racism. So I think it's not simply that we can't do anything that makes anyone feel uncomfortable in public events ever. I think in this case, this rises to a level that other things don't. You can respond in 1 second, Marty, if you don't mind. I'd like to just make the because I wanted to engage with that point. We've heard of liberal guilt, right? And liberal guilt can actually be very useful in terms of progressing things. I think this is an example, this driver who doesn't want to participate, if this is going to happen now, in conservative guilt. And by liberal and conservative, I don't mean politically. I mean in terms of one's personal constitution. Now, that obviously will influence oftentimes their political ideas, but I mean personally, whether someone wants to be progressive, wants to go forward, or whether someone wants to be more conservative, meaning maintain the status quo.
There'll be a part 2. I gotta get on. Appreciate y'all. Peace.